Pringles, America's favorite hyperbolic paraboloid-shaped potato chip that's not actually a potato chip. Invented by a chemist, a researcher, and a science fiction author, I call them the Pringles Trinity. This snack gave birth to the immensely popular Mr. Pringle.
It's the deep fried taste. It's a crispy crunch. Pass the Pringles, please. I need a bunch. Sweet and the fever for the flavor. Your Pringles, the fever for the flavor. Your Pringles.
And you know, here's where I could talk about the fact that they were first marketed in Indiana in 1968, or how we don't really know where the name Pringles comes from because there's, you know, a few different theories, including maybe it was named after Mark Pringles, who filed a patent in 1937 for the method and apparatus of processing potatoes. Or maybe how two advertising employees lived on a Pringles drive. Or maybe they just picked it out of a Cincinnati telephone book because they thought the name sounded cool. But that's not what this episode is about. This is about Mr. Pringle. And you know, mascots, they develop and they change throughout time to fit the aesthetic trends of the time. And Mr. Pringle is no stranger to changing up his looks. But looking at the changes of his appearances throughout history, I mean, something really caught my eye. He seems to be becoming less and less human. And this leaves me with just one question. What happened to Mr. Pringles? Join me on the first and probably the last episode of The Secrets of Mr. Pringle. The year is 2006. The movie Cars was released, Pluto's about to be reclassified as a dwarf planet, and Mr. Pringles is about to obtain a first name due to a Wikipedia hoax. And this hoax wasn't really elaborate, it just consisted of some Wikipedia editors entering the name Julius Pringle into the Pringles article, finally gifting Mr. P. Can I call you Mr. P? Finally given Mr. P a first name. Through their false campaign, this hoax eventually caught on, and in 2013, Kellogg's confirmed this then hoax as a now fact. No, this actually didn't have anything to do with the video. I just didn't want you to be confused if I ever said Julius Pringle, and I just thought it was kind of a fun fact, but it didn't really contribute to the overarching story. So you know why don't we just try again, okay? Sorry. Set the stage again. The year is 1967. Brown-Eyed Girls released, the first Super Bowl game is played, and Julius Pringle is about to make his debut as a dapper young fellow, let me tell you. I think he's very dapper looking. I mean, the bow tie, the hair, the mustache, what more could you want? And this look remained relatively the same until about 2001. I mean, technically in 1999 there was a prototype logo that looked similar to this, but just for simplicity's sake, we're just gonna say 2001, okay? Okay, between me and you, just okay, cool. And as we can see here, the mustache, full as ever. The bow tie, lovely as ever. Slightly less hair, but that's okay because nonetheless, he has found a newfound sparkle in his eye. Fast forward to 2020, and a major change happens. I mean, here we can see that his bow tie is simplified, but still there. He's got eyebrows now, he's bald, but that's not the important details. If we take a look at Mr. P's eyes, we see that his childlike wonder, his whimsy of life, his sparkle in his eye is gone. Did the 2020 pandemic cause Mr. Pringle to lose that sparkle in his eye? Is this just another company falling into the minimalism trend, or is there something deeper going on here? One may assume that Mr. Pringle lost his twinkle in his eye due to the 2020 pandemic, and that wouldn't be the most shocking thing, that wouldn't be the most outrageous thing, because, you know, it was a difficult time for all of us. But I wanted to make sure that I dug a little deeper instead of just settling for this answer. I mean, let's be real. After all, if Julius Pringle was participating in any events in 2020, it would be the celebrities singing the Imagine song. I'm pretty sure Mr. Pringle is doing quite well for himself financially. And so, where does this lead us? You know, what lead do we have? And I propose that maybe to take a step forward, we had to take a step back. So in order to better understand the history of Pringles, I decided to watch all the commercials that I could find on YouTube, which consisted of 133 of them, and go figure the vast majority of those commercials were in fact just advertisements, and not anything that was, you know, dropping some massive lore or anything. So you're welcome, capitalism. I suppose you win this one. You also keep advertising me Pringles Crocs now, which I suppose is a fair assumption on your part that I would be interested in Pringles Crocs. So I suppose this one's on me. I suppose This is, you know, the consequences of my own actions, one might say. However, nonetheless, out of those 133 commercials, I did find 3 of them that I believe tell the story of what happened to Mr. Pringle.
Yodelay-ay-dee-doo, if you love barbecue, try our sweet mesquite. It's a western treat. And we're smoking. Well, it is barbecue.
Now, this commercial here was aired during a time where Mr. Pringle still had that childlike wonder, the whimsy in his life, the sparkle in his eye. And you can tell this because he's singing. And he's dancing with his brethren? You know, I never really considered the possibility of the fact that Mr. Pringles had to be in multiple different places at the same time. You know, at one time there has to be like millions, maybe billions, trillions of sentient Mr. Pringles in the world. I mean, what are the implications of this? How is this even possible? What? Enter Mr. Pringling and the Pringlings. Now, if you were like me and had no idea who Mr. Pringling was or who the Pringlings were, then let me introduce you to them via this unfinished commercial posted on Uncle Roy's YouTube channel.
Excuse me, Mr. Pringling. Can you tell me why Pringles taste so fresh fried?
Be happy to, Junior. Come on out, Pringlings.
Will he eat us?
Nah, people don't eat us Pringlings, just our delicious Pringles potato chips.
Can they tell me why Pringles taste fresh fried?
Why do Pringles taste fresh fried?
Why do Pringles taste fresh fried?
We fry 'em faster than other chips.
Faster!
Faster! We seal 'em hot in the can.
Hot!
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 You've never tasted a fresher taste as potato chips began.
No preservatives!
Wow, thanks, Pringling.
Pringles Original Country Rippled, sealed hot in the can so they taste fresh fried.
Who knew that the delicious taste of Pringles was all due to the efforts of these unsung heroes? I mean, this commercial wasn't even finished. It wasn't even aired. We would have never known. Now let's take a look at a modern day commercial. Okay, this guy took Ash Ketchum way too seriously when he said, gotta catch 'em all, because what? First you're Mario, then you're Garfield, now you're Julius Pringle, what's next? This is outrageous. I mean, how many voice acting roles can you even take? Are you even a voice actor? I mean, I guess at this point you have to be considered one, because you've done so many, even though we all did kind of bully you for the Mario one. And how are you're Garfield too? This just doesn't make any sense. I'm overwhelmed. You just gotta stop appearing in anything, just become the Chris Pratt cinematic universe, and just we don't need another, you know, Marvel cinematic
You've
universe.
never tasted a fresher taste as potato chips began.
Wait a minute, what was he wearing? A brownish orange suit. A brownish orange suit. I figured it out. Rewind back to the animated commercial, and what do we see the leader wearing? A brownish orange suit. The Chris Pratt commercial, what do we see him wearing? A brownish orange suit. And when the leader Pringling calls out to the other Pringlings, what's the first thing that the other Pringlings said?
Come on out, Pringlings.
Will he eat us?
Nah, people don't eat us Pringlings.
That's right. Will he eat us? And how does Mr. Pringling comfort this poor other terrified Pringling? He goes, oh, people don't eat us. People. Emphasis on people. So are there other things they eat, you guys? Something else has to be eating the Pringlings, because they wouldn't have this deep fear of being eaten if they haven't witnessed it themselves. I mean, the Pringlings are also just fearful in general. Why? They have witnessed their kind being eaten, not by someone, but something. So if it's not humans, then what is it? I propose a machine. Once a Pringling is unfit to be making Pringles, and they're not making Pringles in an efficient manner, they get fed into this machine. What does this machine do? It extracts their personalities, their sentience, and it infuses these aspects into the mascots on the cans. This explains how the Pringles cans can dance in the first commercial, and they're singing and they're dancing because they are the personalities and the sentience of former Pringlings infused into the cans. Also, notice how the Pringlings exactly resemble the mascot of this time. The Pringlings at this time feature full head of hair, a mustache, and that is reflected in the mascots of this time. The mascots are not changing because of corporate changing them, they're changing because the Pringlings themselves are changing. The Pringlings at this time don't realize the danger that they're in. They just see this machine as a predator. It has its own will, its own mind. It eats them. But notice how Mr. Pringling is not fazed at all. Mr. Pringling is not scared because he knows the truth. Mr. Pringling is not scared of all the other things the Pringlings are scared of because Mr. Pringling is the one facilitating it. Mr. Pringling knows the fate of his workers and he is doing nothing to protect them. Why? Because he's the one putting them in the machine. Remember the similarities between Chris Pratt's coat and the Pringling's coat? Well, I propose that this is a Santa Claus situation, you know? You become Santa if you put on Santa's coat. Instead, it's you become Mr. Pringling if you put on Mr. Pringling's coat. Whoever dons the coat becomes Mr. Pringling, becomes the leader of the Pringlings. And with Chris Pratt being the new Mr. Pringling, he will no doubt know the horrors of what's happening behind the scenes. The only difference, the Pringlings are aware of their situation now. They have seen generations and generations of Pringlings being put into that machine and having their likeness used from the mascots on the cans. They have seen their friends, their families being put into this machine. And that's why their sparkle is gone. That is why the mascot had such a drastic change recently, because they are aware. The mascots we see now are dull. The sparkle in their eye died out as they watched generations of Pringlings being fed into this machine, suffering the same fate over and over, and there's nothing they can do to stop it. Make Pringles until you work to the bone, get fed into the machine, live eternally as a sentient mascot trapped in a can, and the cycle continues. You can see the Pringlings that were once full of whimsy of life, sparkles in their eyes, rosy cheeks, slowly morph into a Pringling that knows their fate. With Chris Pratt being the leader Pringling now, he is aware, and he has a duty to stop this, and he doesn't. First, Chris Pratt takes all these voice acting roles, and now he does these heinous acts to the Pringlings, watching and knowing that the Pringlings are suffering this fate, that the Pringlings who were once hopeful and once whimsical are now suffering a fate where they have to watch their kind be put into a machine and turned into a sentient mascot forever. Thanks for goofing, thanks for gaffing with me. You know, we have a lovely time goofing and gaffing, truly we do. You know, I truly sometimes feel like I get possessed when I write these videos. Same thing with saying Uncle O'Grimacy's purple guy. It's like, what possessed me to write that? And you know, I guess I'm fortunate enough where I get possessed and write silly little conspiracy theories and not stuff like the moon landing was fake, because that would be against my moral compass, would be telling me, no, that's actually a crazy thing to say. You're wild. That's wild behavior. And I'd be like, you're right, moral compass. Right again. Right you are. I hope you're having a wonderful time of day. Whatever time of day it is for you, I hope it's a wonderful one. And Chris Pratt, I know you're a big fan of my videos. Sorry about this. You know, got caught in the crossfire. My bad. And number 2, that's just a theory. A food theory. Bon appetit. Bye. But in a 1973 commercial, there was like a live action person, like a real actor playing Mr. Pringle, and that guy who played Mr. Pringle then is also the same guy who voiced Grimace in the McDonald Land commercial. So it was really like, no matter where you are, everyone's always connected. Keep reapplying, because I made this mustache with my own blood, sweat, and tears. I made the bow tie with my own blood, sweat, and tears too. That's why the bow tie's red. Maybe they just picked it out of Cincinnati. As I always say, never point out when a person's mustache is crooked. It's just considered rude, you know? My mustache keeps falling. My apologies. I'm wearing silly little cat socks this entire time, so I feel like that makes the experience more enjoyable to just picture me in silly little cat socks.